about the distinction between liking and loving ourselves. And while we've often emphasized the importance of self-love on this channel, I realize that we haven't delved deep into the precursor, liking ourselves. Personally, I've always had a fondness of who I am and consider myself incredibly fortunate for that. However, it took me nearly a decade of continuous inner work to reach a point of loving myself unconditionally. This realization prompted me to reflect on why many individuals struggle to embark on this self-healing journey, especially if they don't even like themselves. Welcome to Spiritual Midwife, the podcast that tenderly guides you through the transformative journey of spiritual awakening and personal development towards the ultimate destination of soul sovereignty. I'm Claire Atyeo, a medicine woman and dedicated guide to the profound realm of soul sovereignty, and you are listening to Spiritual Midwife. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to another episode of Spiritual Midwife. Today's discussion is one that arose from a realization I had when recording a video for my YouTube channel yesterday. And that was the differentiating between liking and loving ourselves, and that of those who struggle with even liking themselves. And so that's going to be the focus of today's discussion. In the video, I spoke about embracing change by first attaining self-love, and from that self-love, being able to attain faith, which gives us the courage to work through any fears that keep us resistant to change. It was during that discussion that I had this epiphany about the distinction between liking and loving ourselves. And while we've often emphasized the importance of self-love on this channel, I realized that we haven't delved deep into the precursor, liking ourselves. Personally, I've always had a fondness of who I am and consider myself incredibly fortunate for that. However, it took me nearly a decade of continuous inner work to reach a point of loving myself unconditionally. This realization prompted me to reflect on why many individuals struggle to embark on this self-healing journey, especially if they don't even like themselves. And in that given situation, it's easy to think it's not worth it because you're not worth it, but you are. And although words are easy, especially from someone who's not walked that particular path, I encourage you to take a breath and just consider the possibility that you can do this and you should do this. And if you can't surmount the strength to do it for yourself, consider this. Are your children, are your loved ones worth it? Remember, they learn through observation and mimicry. By prioritizing your own self-worth, you're setting a powerful example to them. With that said, I'm going to give you 5 key distinctions to help us evaluate whether we are liking ourselves, loving ourselves. And if liking, I'm going to ask a question after each example so that you can assess whether you are liking yourself or whether you're needing to step into that. So the first one is acceptance versus celebration. Liking ourselves involves accepting who we are, flaws and all, while loving ourselves goes a step further and we celebrate those very flaws as integral parts of our uniqueness. So do you accept yourself, or do you hide aspects of your true nature? The second, surface affirmations versus deep connection. Liking ourselves may manifest as surface level affirmations or compliments, whereas loving ourselves fosters a deep, authentic connection to our inner being. A lack of even liking ourselves in this distinction is the need to present ourselves as a clone, always looking at what someone else is doing or has going on and copying them. The third one is conditional versus unconditional. Liking ourselves often comes with conditions. I'll love myself when, if, whereas loving ourselves is unconditional, embracing every aspect of our being without prerequisites and without putting prerequisites on others. Not liking self will show up in the form of either apathy or aggression. For example, intrusive thoughts of our very existence, or swinging completely to the other extreme of narcissistic behavior and manipulating every given situation to validate our very existence. 4, external validations versus intrinsic fulfillment. Liking ourselves may rely on external validation or approval from others, whereas loving ourselves is rooted in intrinsic fulfillment and self-validation. We don't need others to champion us. We may like it and accept it, but we don't need it. We become our own champions. We have stepped into that soul sovereign self where we know where we're going, we know what we're doing, and we're happy and fulfilled within that. Again, as with the last, you can have those two polarities of complete apathy or aggression, but also here you've got the lack of liking oneself can show up and become evident by the habits and programs of gossiping. Being validated by the fact others are listening, and usually in these cases also you project onto the person you're gossiping about. We have all been in situations where we don't like somebody for whatever reason. There is a dislike. But if you find yourself gossiping, especially in negative terms, then they have triggered that self-dislike within. And the last one, ego-driven versus soul-centered. Liking ourselves and working from the ego, focusing on external achievements or appearances, whereas loving ourselves as soul-centered beings, we are nurturing our inner essence and working on that spiritual growth. The person that dislikes himself here is walking in dangerous territory, as it can easily lead people into the realms of criminal activities, or at least walking a thin line. And there is a definite lack of moral compass. It's often broken, or at least has the potential of being broken. This is where people who dislike themselves can be very easily manipulated and swayed into activities that are less desirable. So with all that said, with those 5 very simple examples there, the showing us the differences between dislike, like, and love, for those who identified aspects of not even liking themselves, please, please, please seek professional help. Everyone deserves the opportunity to excel in life. But the harsh reality here is that it's very unlikely that you will be able to move through these emotional and associated energetics alone. I'm usually the first to promote self-help, but in these conditions, on these paradigms, You need professional help. Everybody, we all at times through life need a helping hand and support. And not liking yourself is one of those times. Seek the professional help. Start to build a foundation of like. Move yourself into a place and a space of first learning to like yourself, then progressing to loving yourself. If you found yourself more aligned with the concept of liking yourself rather than loving yourself, fear not, because we're going to move into the journey now. I'm going to give you 5 mental and emotional activities you can actually do to start cultivating that fondness for yourself. So the first one, it goes without saying, gratitude practice. Start each day by expressing gratitude for aspects of yourself, your strengths, your experiences, or even challenges that have shaped you and built you up, made you a better person. Work to those strengths. And that takes us into the second one, which is positive affirmations. Incorporate positive affirmations into your daily routine. Reaffirm your worthiness and your uniqueness. I personally recommend writing your own affirmations from your gratitude reflections, from the journaling you've done with the gratitude. Play to your existing strengths. This will help keep the momentum going and keep you motivated. The third is self-compassion. Treat yourself with kindness, the kindness you would offer to a dear friend facing similar struggles. So, for example, you had a bad day, a bad day, a bad week at work. Take a moment to consider the advice you would give a friend to help them out of their funk. Then do it yourself. Start a healing journey. Set aside some time to first be introspective and reflective of what's causing you the greatest pain currently, and work to heal that situation. Then another. We've talked about the wheel of life and the healing journey in previous podcasts. Go back and listen and use the tools that are freely available within those episodes to help yourself. Self-care, scheduling, prioritizing the self-care, scheduling those activities in so that you can nourish your mind, body, and soul, whether that's through meditation, journaling, spending time in nature. It's all too easy to put personal needs on the back boiler, especially when we have so much else to do. But if you don't prioritize you, who will? It's only through making a conscious decision to embrace and nurture our fondness for ourselves can we start to create change and pave the way for profound self-discovery and soul sovereignty. You are worth it. We are worth it. Together, we can create change. Together, we can raise the consciousness of humanity. Together we can grow and excel and to live fulfilled lives. I'm going to leave it there. So that's it for this episode. Thank you for tuning in. And remember, you are worthy of love. This is Spiritual Midwife signing off. Peace and love, everyone.